Good morning, YouTube. So I happen to be fortunate enough a day or so ago to grab one of these micro dark terrors. I was able to get it from Sweetwater, and I saw that they came on Twitter and Instagram, released by Orange. I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, and I saw I'd been wanting an amp like this for quite some time, something I can easily fit inside of my guitar case when I'm traveling, right? And so this amp came available, I believe it was Wednesday or Thursday, and so I went to my guitar dealer of choice at the time, which is Sweetwater, and they had them instantly available for $189. So I was able to grab one and get it here Saturday morning. Yesterday morning, it's Sunday right now. And so, it was really cool. It's really cool. The first day I had it yesterday, I really only had time to, get into the headphone jack, which, once you kind of get used to it, the filtering, it works. If this is all you had was your guitar case and like a delay pedal, because this does have an effects loop, then this is the amp to have, right? Because it does have a preamp tube, a 12AX7. And I was looking at it, and I believe it's a groove tube, so, who knows, maybe I'll change that out to something else, but groove tubes are pretty good, so, and so far it seems pretty balanced in there, right? One of the problems I had with the original Dark Terror is that when you turn your shape knob over there to the right, a little too far, right, it kind of gets a little fizzy, and I really wasn't a fan of that, so I ended up getting the Jim Root, because with the Jim Root Dark Terror, you actually have a full EQ there, right, from the Rocker Verb EQ stack, right? The tone stack out of the Rocker Verb. So, I was always very happy with my orange Jim Root. It's a little dark though, And so when I picked up the 6505 from Sweetwater, I really instantly fell in love with that amp, and so I've been using that amp for a minute, using that 6505 MH for quite some time now, and this little orange will not replace that. But where this orange can go, the 6505 MH cannot. Meaning, like, if I'm stuck for a week somewhere out of town, and I'm not going to be carrying the 6505 in luggage because it's just too delicate, too nice. It's too heavy, it's too big, even though it's a micro head. But the Dark Terror here is definitely perfect to fit inside my guitar case with headphones, a delay pedal, and an instrument lead and the power cable, and essentially that wraps up my travel rig. I could always use the iPad and bias and all that stuff, but you kind of get like options paralysis when dealing with those things, those devices. I tend to sit there for hours fucking around with this and that and mid and high and low, and at the end of the day it sounds good, and it sounds probably good in a mix, but it's missing something, like the reactive spirit of how a tube operates, and arguably that could be said about this because the power stage is solid state. But I would say that because it has an advantage, because to be honest, in the 90s, those AB class amps, right, the ones that are power and solid state and tube, they were on a lot of records. All the Pantera was solid state for the most part until the end. So solid state definitely has its places, and I personally like power solid state and preamp tubes. I think that's like my favorite type of sound. So anyways, I've been talking for quite some time here. Need to maybe give you some sounds. So this is the Micro Dark with the effects loop activated. I have the Echo, Alter Ego, Vintage Echo in there, TC Electronic, and I'm just running a Mini HOF on, I believe, like Cathedral or some shit settings, right? So give you some lead tones, and then we'll get down to the crunch. really like how the solid state makes room for the effects in the effects loop. It doesn't sound overly encumbered by the crunchiness, you know. It's important to note that there's no pedals in front of the amp. It's just 7-string Jackson and straight into the amp, and then the effects loop is the alter ego, the Mini HOF. So, you know, no trickery going on here. And then the board is pretty much flat. Admittedly, these pickups suck ass. They're like Jackson pickups. They're not that bad, but you know, I'm kind of hesitant to get into the hardcore rhythm section of this review because, like, you know, the pickups really are kind of flubby. Great strings though. I'm running those Cobalts. So E flat, G sharp, I guess, drop G sharp. So let's see how that goes. major selling points of this amp is it does sing, you know, it sings really well. In my opinion, I love like the lead solo tone. It really is there. This is a really crappy amp, this is a really crappy guitar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch guitars. I'm going to jump onto my Les Paul with EMG 5766s. So give me just a moment to... Alright, so I got the Les Paul Studio here, Tobacco Burst with the 5766 EMG pickups in it. And you know, I really shouldn't say that previous guitar I was on is sucky. I've actually that's become like my main guitar, a 7-string. I've kind of been really into trying to learn 7-string, and that guitar is great because I wanted like an Ibanez style guitar, that level of quality, which I'd say is middle road, you know, coming out of Indonesia. And you know, I just really couldn't dig the 7-string headstocks on Ibanez, you know, like 6 or 7 aside. I need and I feel comfortable with the Gibson style 3x3 or, you know, 3x4 based on the Jackson there. So, you know, I've been really jamming that Jackson a lot. In fact, I've had all the other guitars on the wall for weeks now since I've had that Jackson. Got the Jackson from Sweetwater as well. So 5766. Let's see if it does a little bit better, because I love that guitar. I just need to get better pickups for it, so I'll get the 7-string version of 5766 on that guitar. So a little bit of delay and reverb, right? You know, I was just thinking to myself how funny it is, right? Like the cheesy pickups on that Jackson, they seem more open and dynamic than these 5766 EMGs. These are brand new pickups who have had them for maybe like 4 or 5 months. So, you know, it's like you really never get there. It's like you get 80% using something, and then you switch to something else that you know it's going to get you. It only gets you like 90% or 91%, but you never really get there, right? I don't know. Definitely noticed a big difference in the tonal character and mid-range quality aspects between those pickups and these. And incidentally, like I said, I've been playing 7-string a lot lately, trying to just, you know, master it and get better and learn more guitar, right? With, you know, adding more strings, more expansion of the scale, I guess, right? And jumping on a 6-string, especially a Paul, feels like I'm playing a banjo or like a little kiddie guitar. It's pretty fun. Just a little side note. Anyway, so what do you think about the amp so far, man? Pretty badass, right? I mean, I've really only hung out in one setting and kind of alternated between the mid and high, low frequencies. That's pretty much all I've done. But pretty cool, you know, for 189 bucks. It fits in your wife's purse, you know, fit inside of your briefcase on the way to work, you know, something like that. You know, it's fucking badass. You know, headphone out sounds great. Maybe later on I'll do a headphone out. But right now, you know, we've been in this like 13 minutes or 17 minutes into this video or so, and really into this amp, and this is like, I woke up this morning, got some coffee going, and just jumped in here and just started fucking with it, warming up and just playing with this amp, you know. And I really like it. I wish, you know, dare I say, I wish the PV6505 would be something that small. I could get something that'd be really cool, man, right? But you know, with the EVH new micro head coming out, that's going to be basically like a 6505 MH clone from EVH, you know, that's exciting. You know, this right here is exciting because it's $189 and I can put it in my pocket and strap my guitar to my back and go to the buddy's house, you know. And anyways, so enough talking. Let's do 2 more minutes and then we'll flip to recording. What do you think? Do you like it? Tell me what you think in the comments, and please subscribe and share to your friends. Say, hey, I saw this pretty cool demo on YouTube. This guy, normal guy, you know, getting hourly wage, bought one of these amps and got the tube up. I'll tell you what, it's amazing how things work, right? Like you spend days and weeks with one thing, right? And then you switch instantly to another thing. And yeah, I really don't like EMGs. I guess I'm just now realizing that after having them in many of my guitars. So I am actually going to switch guitars yet again. So we will grab my rubbed gold top LPJ Les Paul, and that actually has like the Burstbucker Pros in it. So those should be open, passive, and Gibson inspired, you know, fucking PAF inspired, original shit inspired pickups. And let's hear how that sounds. So, you know, we've played some passive shitty Jackson pickups. We just now played some pretty high-end, you know, EMG pickups. And now we're going to play some fucking PAF style Burstbucker, I believe 3s, you know, from the Gibson. So give me 1 sec, I'll be right back with that guitar. Alright, so I'm back with the LPJ with the Burstbucker Pro pickups in it. So this is a pretty, you know, pretty standard Gibson low model guitar, meaning it has the maple cap and the mahogany body. So this is, you know, basically a little bit more breathy, with, you know, same line as those previous Jackson passive pickups, and definitely a lot less compressed and squashed is what the EMGs sounded to me in my ears. So change the dials on the amp a little bit, we'll kind of play with it. So just show you what you can get with, you know, Burstbucker pickups out of this little amp, and, you know, maybe even like a reverb. We'll put the reverb on. One thing I do like about this amp in particular is, like, most of the orange shit is that it is very simple, and so it responds well to guitar control inputs. So when you lower it down, it definitely cleans up and, you know, lo-fi's a bit. And like I said before, there's nothing in front of the amp, it's just the guitar, and then reverb in the loop with a delay as well when I run it. So you tell me what you think. I'll go crazy for a minute. the delay responds inside that effects loop. Isn't that beautiful? So that's pretty much it, man. I mean, you know, did a lot of talking throughout this video, so I don't know if I really need to break anything down. It's really a really nice amp for the money, for not much money at all. I'm talking about $189, free ship to my door. And so I was really obliged to pretty much get it. You know, being an Orange fan and having a Jim Root Terror, really a big fan of the product overall, right? Just Orange in general. And I really wanted originally to get one of the Orange Micro Terrors, but I wanted the you know, I wanted to get one that wouldn't be so rocky, you know. I don't even know how to say it right, you know, like so just old school rock, you know, because that's what the Micro Terror sounded like, the original one, the white one. It just sounds kind of Marshall-y, low gain. I don't know. I don't want to say all those things, but you know, I'm trying to avoid saying some of those things because they may not be so positive in the direction. Because it's a great little amp. I just wanted something a little more. And with this amp, I feel like I don't have to push it. I don't need to put a pedal in front of it. Although, you know, maybe I'll experiment with that. I have plenty of pedals here to experiment with. I feel like the signal's already clipped enough, and so like putting something in front of it will just clip it further, and maybe not such a great sound will be created by doing that. So you know, I've showed you some pretty high-end EMG pickups. I showed you some pretty crappy Jackson pickups that, you know, aren't too terribly bad, but on the 7-string they sounded really flubby-ish. But the guitar sings very well, that 7-string. Anyways, then I showed you some Burstbucker Pros here. So, you know, you've seen all three types of pickups. What I wanted to do was show you a side-by-side, like, of what this amp is compared, you know, in size compared to the other, the Jim Root, for example. And I don't know if I'll be able to do that because I'm using a prime lens, so I really can't, like, zoom out. And so I'm pretty much stuck with the zoom angle in which I have, but what I can do is pick up the camera and just show you. So let's go to autofocus mode real quick, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. So, whew. Sorry, sort of the delay. Okay, so that's the Micro, and here's the Root. It's not focusing. There we go. So that's the Jim Root 4, and there's your Micro Terror right there, right? That's the delay pedal I was using incidentally, which is the vintage Echo from TC Electronic, inspired by, I guess, the good boys at Premier Guitar Studio. Was that who it is? Yeah. Is that who it is? I forget. If I said it wrong, I'm sorry. I apologize. And I was running the Mini HOF, and I really didn't do anything with the electro harmonics. And this is the board I use. You know, it's like, I really should do a breakdown one day, but you can kind of see there's two microphone inputs there. And what's going on is I have an extension cab. I have a isolation cab actually. And in my isolation cab, the way it works is I have, you know, a fucking Eminence Patriot Cannabis Rex 1x12 in there, right? And, you know, she is running straight out of the amp, right, into that box. And this box is a big white box the size of like a Foot Locker, or bigger and longer, to be honest, and taller and wider. And it's full of this foam, right? This is like Pelican case foam, if you ever seen this kind of shit before. Let me stand back so you can see a good view of it. This is Pelican foam, and you know, it's probably not the best soundproofing foam out there, you know. It's probably pretty bad. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you. But the box is lined with it inside, top, bottom, front, back, side to side, you know, all that, right? 4 ways, 6 ways, 8 ways, whatever. And the speaker's mounted in there to the wood, and I have two fucking microphones, right? I have an MXL R40 ribbon mic, and then I have a Shure SM57. They both go into this Behringer board right here I just showed you. And they're line 1 and line 2. And so there's the EQ for, if you know what this board is, you know, you got a top compression, there's no compression, there's your gains, and then just a little bit of high, mid, you know, just a pretty standard increase, you know. I'm not like tweaking the lows or the highs or anything. It's not like I'm gunning the lows or the highs, you know. What I was doing here is just essentially raising the overall channel, you know, like the channel was here, and by raising all three of those, I go from the channel being here to the channel being there, right? That's essentially what I just did. No panning, no effects, and there's your actual channel volumes. And so the microphone is in this line right over here, channel 3 mono. And then, you know, like in this case, that's exactly what I'm doing, right? I'm gunning the channel by raising all the EQ and having it pegged to compensate for the guitar being louder than this little shitty microphone that I have. And so there's my Class 5, and there's the PV 6505. So, you know, that's essentially the rig. And so the reason I'm going through all that with you is because, you know, this is a very inexpensive rig, and it solved a lot of my problems because I live in a 2-bedroom apartment in Houston, and so I can't, like, you know, have my 412s, which I have 2 412s that are in storage right now because I can't use them in an apartment, right? And, you know, by using the isolation cab with the 112 and 2 microphones in this closet, right, behind here, you know, it's easy for me to have headphones on right out of the board, plugged right into the amp. You know, the amp goes to the speakers, and then the fucking 2 microphones go right to the board, and then my headphones go out of the board into my headphones, right? So, and then it's like the speaker is inside, on the other side of this wall where this little picture is. On the other side of that wall is literally where the speaker cab is, and it's quiet because there's clothes in there, there's dense material in there, and it's enclosed, and I can crank and play at 3 o'clock in the morning, not bother my wife, not bother my upstairs, sideways, downstairs, other side neighbors, you know, back neighbor. And you know, having a little amp like this with low watts, 15 watts I believe, or 20 watts is what that thing is rated at, and incidentally the Jim Root is rated at 15 watts with a 7-watt standby, so that's an all-tube amp, by the way. The Micro Dark accomplishes the same thing in the solid-state format with a preamp tube, right? By having 20 watts, it gets there, and it sounds pretty loud. Those are pretty much the settings I do run my Jim Root at right there. Yeah, low volume, pretty much pegged out highs, good mid, three-quarter lows, good amount of gain. That's essentially how I'm running my micro, you know. So yeah, that's the setup. And so, you know, you can accomplish the same sounds I just got by having good pickups, good guitars, straight into the amp, and good microphones if you're trying to get this off to like a key to a computer, a DAW, your headphones, you know, if you're trying to just line in it or something like that, you know, it's a good way to do it, and this little amp will do it. As you heard, I went from, you know, broke up clean crunch to vintage gain to modern gain to insane gain, you know, and it does it gent. Yeah, I think it kind of gents, you know. You got to have the right guitar for that. Maybe when I get better pickups on my 7-string, we'll get a better genty sound out of it or something like that, you know. But overall, it's a great little amp for what it is. Like I said, I really wanted the white one a lot, but I was hesitant to buy it because I wanted a little bit more gain, and this one solves that problem. Maybe by changing the tube out, because it's such an inexpensive amp, you know, if you blow it's not a big deal. Changing the tube out, maybe we'll get some different styles, because that's what I did with this Marshall. This Marshall is one of those hybrid amps as well. It's one of those VS 100s, valve state 100s. I don't know if I'll get in the shot because it's so dark in there. But you know, it's got one preamp tube and then a solid state section behind it. Yeah, valve state 100, VS 100. That's kind of how I have it set up. My Tweed and my Marshall sideways, and a little Fender ass little amp, little Fender Mustang, and then the custom 68 Fender, then Class 5, and then that, and then of course my 2 Roots, right? That's pretty much my setup right there. But yeah, you know, for home recording, for home dinking around, great amp, $189. Go ahead and get you one. If you have any questions, if you want me to try something, maybe I'll do gain pedals in front of it, but I really don't think it needs it. Leave it in the comments below. Please subscribe, share to your friends, and, you know, maybe I can make this regular since my work-life situation is balanced out a little bit. If this is something you're interested in watching, just let me know. And you guys have a good weekend, and thank you all for your time, and you'll have a great day. Enjoy yourselves, and be good people.